Yeah, a very warm welcome to our conference entitled Green Hydrogen, Fueling Just Decarbonization or Greening Extractivism. My name is Benno Flatvaart from the University of Hamburg, and I have the honor today to introduce our conference together with my colleagues Alex Patonia from the Oxford Institute for Energy Studies and Franziska Müller, who is also from the University of Hamburg. And furthermore, I also want to express my gratitude to the Research Institute for Sustainability in Potsdam, and in particular to Alexandra Toast and Rainer Kitze, who played a very important, a very decisive role in the organization of this conference, and I think without whom it would probably not have been possible. Yeah, first of all, we are very happy that so many people are here and interested in our conference. And at the same time, we're also very happy that we could attract speakers from academia, from civil society, from business and governance, politics, governance, from different countries, including Namibia, Chile, Angola, and Germany, who play very different roles and positions in green hydrogen economy. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for coming. And in particular, thank you very much for all those who have an active role and a speaking role in the conference. Yeah, why are we organizing the conference and what are our goals? I think as soon as we start engaging with hydrogen, we're all aware that hydrogen, and in particular green hydrogen, will play an enormously important role in the future in order to achieve the Paris goals, in particular the 2-degree target. And the reason for this is that hydrogen is a very versatile and useful energy carrier that, if it is produced from renewable sources, it can be used especially to decarbonize those sectors that are very difficult to electrify, such as steel industry, the chemical industry, heavy transport, and many more of these hard to electrify sectors. At the same time, hydrogen can also be used as some kind of rechargeable battery in the way to store energy from renewable sources. And in this regard, it can also be made transportable via ships and pipelines, especially if it is converted into ammonia, one of its derivatives. As a result, what can be observed is, at least from the perspective of capitalist centers and industrialized centers, peripheral and remote regions of the world that have excellent conditions for the production of green hydrogen and renewable energy are coming more and more into focus in the so-called global north. This applies to countries such as Australia, Norway, Canada, and in the global south, countries such as Namibia, Morocco, South Africa, or Chile are increasingly taking center stage in green hydrogen economies. And this pressure on supposedly unused land and the potential shifting of socio-environmental burdens to those regions is being intensified primarily by the fact that many countries that are interested in using green hydrogen have only very limited capacities for the expansion of renewable energies, and, which is even more important, they also lack the political will to do so, to expand more and more renewable energy for the purpose of production of green hydrogen. So the World Energy Council, for example, estimates that the European Union will need to import around 30 million tons annually of decarbonized hydrogen and hydrogen derivatives by the year 2050. And for Germany, for example, it is estimated that it will import around 2/3 of green hydrogen by the year 2030. Against this background, in our view, the enormous demand for renewable energy that is required for production of green hydrogen poses a number of socio-environmental risks and challenges, as well as questions with regard to just and ecologically sound hydrogen value chain. And these questions, from our point of view, are still only hardly discussed within academia and politics. And therefore, we want to address them with this conference. And these include, for instance, questions such as the involvement of local population in planning processes, socio-ecological questions of water consumption, and they also include changing geoeconomic and geopolitical dependencies, and also challenges for democracy. And at the same time, the great euphoria and hype around green hydrogen is countered by criticism that it is an expensive, inefficient, and overestimated technology that rather serves to maintain business as usual and to continue with a growth model that is based on the exploitation of resources and further industrialization. And against this background, we have chosen the pointed key question of whether green hydrogen can promote a just decarbonization, which also means to interrogate what kind of mechanisms and measures are needed to for a just hydrogen transition, or just hydrogen transitions. And under what circumstances it also harbors the danger of rather greening extractivism and leading to a new form of green colonialism or green imperialism, as many critics of green hydrogen also argue. Now, before we present the program in detail of the conference, my colleagues Alex Patonia and Franziska Müller will now give some insights into current challenges of green hydrogen. So Alex will first give an overview of the current status quo of green hydrogen economies and some knowns and unknowns of hydrogen developments, while Franziska will focus more in depth on justice, hydrogen justice, and associated equity aspects of green hydrogen.
Thank you very much, Benno. I hope everyone can hear me. I do hope that everyone is in good mood and high spirits. The topic we're discussing today is very much related to the social aspects of hydrogen, but I will first give you some introduction or perhaps a recap of what we know about green hydrogen and what we don't know, what the known knowns and the known unknowns. So I will start with the knowns. Hydrogen, for those of you who might not be that familiar with hydrogen or new to the topic, hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, but until recently, he has not been really discovered in pure form on Earth in great abundance. So there is some naturally occurring hydrogen on Earth, but most of the hydrogen we are using for chemical processes and other ways to, we utilize hydrogen is the hydrogen that we manufacture mostly from fossil fuels, from natural gas and coal. So because we use fossil fuels, we emit a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, which does not really make hydrogen or gray hydrogen, as we call the fossil fuel-based hydrogen made from natural gas. That hydrogen does not qualify for the clean future we're expecting from us, for ourselves and our kids, right? So we need to replace that hydrogen with something else if we are going to use that fuel as a substitute for fossil fuels, or perhaps come up with an idea of how to produce it in a more environmentally friendly way. One of the ways to decarbonize hydrogen is to capture the CO2 that is being emitted in the process of its production and store it underground. So in geological formations for many, many years, if not thousands or millions of years, that is great. And we can basically run as we go. So use the technologies we have available, but that does not really solve the problem because the CO2 is technically produced and it is just stored. So it's not really, the production of CO2 is not being terminated. So the idea to focus on green hydrogen is to eliminate the emissions altogether. So green hydrogen is the hydrogen that is associated with the energy source that comes from renewables like wind, solar, or hydropower, and water. Basically, we split water into oxygen and hydrogen to get hydrogen to then use it as a fuel or as an energy storage source or as a feedstock for producing fertilizers like ammonia-based fertilizers and so on and so forth. So there are three main aspects related to green hydrogen. The first one is water, because we need water to produce hydrogen using the technology called electrolysis, which basically splits water into oxygen and hydrogen. We need the technology itself, so the machinery that is splitting the water into those two atoms is called electrolyzers. So we need electrolyzers. And we need the source of power. We need renewables. If we are talking about green hydrogen, we need renewable energy. So the three aspects, the most crucial ones from the technology perspective and also from the financial perspectives, would be related to water, fresh water in this case, because none of the electrolyzers run, the commercialized electrolyzers run on salt water. They all need fresh water. So we need fresh water, we need electrolyzers, and we need renewable power. Obviously, to make green hydrogen competitive with other types of fuels or other types of technologies that could be associated with the decarbonization, we need cheap electrolyzers, cheap sources of fresh water, or abundant sources of fresh water. And we also need a cheap renewable energy, which is the crucial component, cost component of green hydrogen. So over 75% or around 75% of the share that is contributing towards the ultimate cost of green hydrogen is related to the source of electricity. So we need cheap sources of power, we need cheap technology to do that, to make this possible, and we need abundance of fresh water. That basically leads us to some of the crucial social issues, because where are we going to find the abundance of fresh water? You know, sometimes when we refer to the production of hydrogen in the Middle East countries, for instance, fresh water might not be in abundance. We need to desalinate salt water, which will also result in additional energy losses, conversion losses, and also costs. But at the same time, there will be, abundance of renewable energy potential. When we are talking about renewable energy potential, we also need space to install all the solar panels and all the wind farms, for instance, which may not be possible in every region of the world. So some regions are more sort of advantageous in this respect. If we're talking about Chile and Magallanes, if I pronounced it correctly, that is perhaps one of the world's best places to generate wind power, with capacity factors estimated to be around 60%. But that's not possible everywhere. It's not replicable everywhere. And most importantly, perhaps from the technology perspective here, is also how to produce and get enough electrolyzers, where to deliver them, because the producers of electrolyzers are mostly located in the global north. Some of the most suitable electrolyzers to be coupled with intermittent renewables like wind or solar are using critical minerals and rare earth metals, platinum group metals, which are mined in the global south. So there are lots of issues related to the production of green hydrogen, not just to electrolyzers or renewable power, but also to water. So this time we are focusing on the social issues and the some of the unknowns, and those unknowns would be related to where to source fresh water, where to source minerals to use for the production of electrolyzers, and where to get renewable power that would be, cheap enough and also will not be at odds with the aspirations and desires of the local population. So here are the unknowns that lead us directly to the issue of justice, and I think I should give the floor to Franziska, because that's her topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll directly continue. And as Alex already has pointed out, green hydrogen comes with many challenges, one of which are implications for energy justice. And being a large-scale technology, the hydrogen expansion has the ability to considerably reshape energy economies, energy infrastructures, and energy landscapes. So when we imagine typical constellations, such as new ports, new LNG terminals, pipeline structures, sites for electrolyzers, sites for desalination plants, and not least the space needed for wind energy or for photovoltaic production capacities, it's quite clear that new areas of competition over land, water, and energy are created. And in that context, with a research group, the H2 Politics project, we have developed a concept called hydrogen justice. And here we're wondering how all these aspects can be addressed on a 6-dimensional scale. So first of all, we're looking at procedural justice. This refers to all the questions of policymaking and democracy and public participation. Here we're wondering which multi-stakeholder hydrogen constellations are evolving and how inclusive are these global or transnational decision-making structures. Then there's the dimension of relational justice. So how does resource-intensive hydrogen production interfere with human-water relations or human-land relations? How is the relationship from human to nature changed when nature becomes such a site for extractivism and acquires a much more commodified status? Then there's the dimension of recognitional justice. Here we're wondering whose interests, needs, and vulnerabilities are considered in the development of hydrogen strategies, governance, and projects. Who is recognized, who is maybe not recognized, and how are existing vulnerabilities deepened, and which new vulnerabilities can be associated with hydrogen production. This is quite closely related to the distributional dimension, wondering how the costs and benefits are distributed along the hydrogen value chain, who benefits from hydrogen production, who is rather giving in, what happens to energy access. Does the expansion of hydrogen also lead to greater energy access for all, and how is that related to SDG 7, for instance? And how do hydrogen economies restructure access to energy and water? Can we find enhanced competition over water? What's happening to fresh water, or what is happening to desalination, and what's happening to the coastlines where a new zoning takes place when LNG terminals, pipelines, or electrolyzers have to be built. Then there's also the dimension of restorative justice, looking rather at the historical aspects and wondering how the new hydrogen economies might deepen historical injustices and might create dependencies that can even be linked to colonialism, such as land conflicts, project-induced displacements, exploitative labor conditions, or even exclusion from resource use. And lastly, there's the more abstract dimension of epistemic justice, looking at knowledge production, and knowledge transfer, and wondering how do knowledge transfers take place in the hydrogen economy, and whose knowledge over land use or over energy production counts, and how can knowledge be empowering or also disempowering. So this all illustrates how large-scale hydrogen projects have intense repercussions for communities, nature, land and water use, and also for labor conditions. So hydrogen governance needs to address such issues along the whole hydrogen production chain, and there are quite a few learnings from other commodities produced in a globalized economy. Also, in a multipolar world order, we need to reflect what the consequences of hydrogen bilateralism might imply. With hydrogen bilateralism, I mean the myriad of hydrogen partnerships that we currently see evolving, which are not actually complemented by a likewise multilateral structure so far. And on the local level, hydrogen democracy, which refers to questions of political participation, and on the ways in which economic policies and the prospect of decarbonization is designed in a post-industrial age. So much as food for thought, and I'm very happy to delve deeper into these issues when we discuss questions of hydrogen governance and hydrogen democracy in the evening panel starting at 5:15. And for now, I'm handing back to Benno for a quick overview of our program for the 2 days.
Yeah, thank you much. Thank you very much to both of you for these deeper insights into hydrogen challenges and justice implications. And we have created a program that consists of 4 panels that focus on different aspects and dimensions of hydrogen justice, or aspects that are related to hydrogen justice. In the first panel, that is entitled Green Hydrogen Just Transition in North-South Relationships, which will start in a minute approximately, we will try to bring together different regional experiences and country perspectives on green hydrogen with regard to the topic of a just transition, of changing South-North relationships. And in this regard, we will hear, among others, inputs from Chile, Namibia, and Angola. In the second panel, that starts at 5:15, Franziska has just mentioned it, on hydrogen governance and democracy. Moderated by Franziska, the aim is to delve deeper into the political challenges of hydrogen, which means to engage with questions of hydrogen democracy, but also to what extent hydrogen might also lead to new forms of authoritarianism. In the third panel tomorrow on Friday at 2 p.m. CET, which is entitled Hydrogen for the Decarbonization of Industry, which is moderated by Rainer Kitzow from the Research Institute for Sustainability. The focus will be rather on the challenges of green hydrogen for a just decarbonization, which means also to engage with concerns of industrial workers in the global south, but also in Europe and global north. And in the last panel, moderated by Alexandra, also from the Research Institute for Sustainability, which takes place on Friday at 4 CET, we will delve deeper into water justice implications of green hydrogen, which Alex has already pointed out is a topic which is very important, but which is, from our point of view, still too little discussed in academia and politics. Yeah, finally, of course, there will also be a short wrap-up and outlook, which is given by Alexandra and Rainer at 5:30 CT.